Hey everyone, welcome to the Three Docs Book Club podcast today. And I am Karen Jackson, and I am with Dr. Helga Venus and Dr. Sheila Shepard. And we are very happy to have you with us. And we want to talk about a book called The War. No, yes,
Yes,
The War
correct.
of Art. I have to say it very slowly so my little brain can
Because
get
it's
it right.
backwards.
Yes. So um, we started this podcast, this discussion, because we saw a list that Daniel Pink put out, and he has some words about this text. And so, Helga, what do you have to say? Well, could you share with us what Daniel Pink says?
Yes, Daniel Pink is focusing on resistance, which in the book, of course, is explained as a hidden force that keeps us from sitting down and doing our work. And the author says that amateurs succumb to the resistance, so they never do any work. They like procrastinating. They procrastinate and self-sabotage. I think we can all sing a song of that. And professionals look the resistance in the eye and they challenge it every single day. So he says that the book inspired him to place a sign on his desk that says, "Beat the resistance."
I love that.
I love that too, but I would need a little bit more than that.
Yeah, yeah, that is good. Um, I used to have there used to be a website called Write or Die, and
All right.
it was Write or Die. It was so funny, like 10 years ago. But all it was a word processor page, and it took out somehow on this website. It took out your bookmarks. It took out all distractions, and you just had a little cursor blinking at you, and the timer, and you could write set the timer for an hour, 30 minutes or whatever. And then if you stopped writing, you would hear this scary laugh in the background. And then, so you get back in writing, write again. And then if you slow down or if you stop or for a certain number of seconds, then there would be a message. Says, "Are you still there? Keep writing, keep writing." So it was fun when it was kind of when I was just learning about browsers and internet and things like that. I thought that was the greatest thing in the world to help my procrastination.
Wow, talk about beating the resistance.
Yeah. Yeah. And this goes not just for writing, I mean, it's anything that we kind of don't want to do, are not in the mood. I guess that, and many writers say that they just have to be in that moment to where things flow with them and they can write. But if you're not, and I do the same thing with chores.
Hmm.
There's sometimes I look at something for days and just can't get to it, and then all of a sudden, oh, I need to get this done, and then I just get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, One of the points that Stephen Pressfield talks about in the book is how considering yourself, looking at yourself as a professional as opposed to an amateur. And then the amateur loves what they do. And so they're all emotionally invested in it. And so it's connected to the emotion. So if you're not all emotionally involved in it, then you don't do it. But a professional gets up, puts their clothes on, and goes to work every day. And so for me, that was like one of the biggest moments.
Right. For me, that makes me think of like leadership and how you could lead a group of people, and making sure that they are the professionals and not the amateurs of the group.
Right.
And he's actually quite brutal toward amateurs.
Yes.
He is really outspoken. So the way he describes them, versus professional. So he has several points I wrote down.
Let me get your
professional. He makes about 8 points, and he just does away with the amateur as something that he really doesn't care for.
Right.
So
right.
yeah. So and to talk about my second point, professional as patient seeks order, and that goes along with the tight and loose societies.
Mhm.
And knows that fear can never be overcome, is prepared every day to confront his own self-sabotage. And I think that's one of the major points. You have to recognize when you're self-sabotaging and recognize for what it is and move above that. So, the professional does not take rejection personally, self-validates, endures adversity, and cannot let the actions of others define his reality. And that's actually a comment from Tiger Woods, a quote from Tiger Woods. And the last one I really liked: the professional learns to recognize envy-driven criticism and to take it for what it is, the supreme compliment.
Yes. I love those points. I almost would love to have that like on a poster in an office.
That is, yeah. Me too. Yeah.
Those are good to just look at every so often.
Yeah.
Right. And that so much of it is so true when you think about just the difference between a professional at anything, a professional plumber. They put their work clothes on and they get to work every day, and they get better at what they do every time they do it. They don't wait for inspiration to come to them and I'm going to be a great plumber today. No, they just go to work and they figure it out along the way. To me, it's simple. It's inspirational.
It kind of reminds me of when people say, half the battle is showing up.
It's
coming to the job or coming to the task or whatever it may be, just getting yourself there. And then the rest of it, you figure out along the way, kind of.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think the amateur gives up. The professional, if they can't figure something out, they keep going until they got it.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Definitely.
It's easier to give up, isn't it, when your livelihood isn't attached to it?
Right.
Yeah.
Just the opposite of that. I think it's harder for the professional to give up because we just have to get it done. We have to do it right.
We have to do it right, and we want to be successful at it.
You can't give up on it.
Yeah, and you just don't want to admit defeat. You don't want to let anything defeat you. You want to say, well, I am smart enough to figure this out.
Right, and especially if your task that you're working on or the job that you're doing is dependent upon something that relays to another job or to a different person after your task is done, then you don't want to let that person down by saying, I'm just going to do my part. Good luck with that. It's just something that we have to have that integrity to get it done correctly.
Yeah.
That's true. I
love those.
All right. Dr. Venus.
My last one.
Yes.
It's in isolation. So Preston is saying the appearance, people feel sad for you. They see you or see people that are just thinking about something, are totally absorbed in what they're doing. It looks like they're lonely, like they're needing company, but the opposite is true. They're just really absorbed in what they're doing, so that they forget who's around them. They forget the existence of the outside world, and they're not lonely at all. There's so much a writer, he refers it to writer, but it goes with anything. You can see people who are doing something, trying to figure something out, and they don't even know you're standing there. You know, they're just doing something, and you feel like, well, you get mad because you think, well, don't they realize there's someone standing there? No, they don't, because they're so absorbed. I've done it, you know, so that you don't know there's something around you, and that to me is a great point. You know, it's like little kids when they play, and I likened that to MC's flow. It says that's exactly what he is saying. When you're in the flow, you're in your own world.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like nothing else matters.
Nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's flow. The definition of flow is having a problem or a puzzle to figure out, so that it's a challenge to you. So you're using all of your mind and trying to think about it. So how many times have we just been doing something else that we're not in flow, where we're just, you know, going through the motions, and then our mind starts to wander, and you know, everything kind of falls apart. So when you get in the flow, you are fighting any resistance. There is no resistance, because you're just so totally focused on the flow of what you're doing. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
One point in this text that I did not agree with, and maybe I just have a different definition, when the author was talking about fundamentals. So I looked it up in the Cambridge Dictionary, forming a base from which everything else develops. So I was thinking, okay, so fundamentals to me are a good thing. I think of basketball. I think of, you have, in order to make a basket, you have to know the fundamentals. You have to jump at the right time. You have to press at the right time. You have to get the ball at the right spot and everything. For me, that's fundamentals. And so someone who believes in fundamentals I consider myself a fundamentalist, but he has a term as if almost a religious, zealous fundamentalist.
That's what I got from it.
Yeah. So his definition is a more beleaguered individual who comes to embrace, so the only reason we would embrace fundamentalism is if we're beleaguered by the world, or we cannot stand freedom. He cannot find his way into the future, so he retreats into the past. He returns in imagination to the glory days of his race and seeks to reconstitute both them and himself in their purer, more virtuous light. He gets back to basics, to fundamentals. The reason why I disagree with that is I don't think you're looking back to the past, because looking back to the past is before you had not had the knowledge that you have today. So I think that fundamentals is still holding what's important in front of you and working for your goals with the freedom that we have, but it's not retreating, it's moving forward, but keeping the things that are important in mind.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does.
And that to me is, if you're talking about religious fundamentalism, you're right. It's not the past. It's bringing the past forward with you, and there's no other way. A fundamentalist, when it refers to religion, will not accept other religions. They are believing in their religion, and that's the past, the present, and the future, and nothing else counts.
So I think it's just from my experience and looking at that, it didn't fit to me. It didn't fit with the rest of the book.
Right.
That I think that people who are fighting the resistance, their resistance is just noise. It could be from the past. It could be from all kinds of sources, but we're still fighting that resistance in order to do our work, to get the job done. So that was something I thought was interesting. And then individuals who are realized in their own lives almost never criticize others, and that really spoke to me. If they speak at all, it is to offer encouragement, and I think that's so true. It's because when you're fulfilled, there's no need to criticize anyone else, because they're on their journey and you're on your journey, and we're here to encourage each other. So I thought,
and I think it probably cannot be taken criticism at its face value. There's criticism that is very negative, and there's constructive criticism. Sometimes you have to use constructive criticism to make things better, whereas just to slam someone and be negative and and make someone feel bad, that criticism is useless.
Right. And it's useless and it's damaging.
And it's damaging, yeah. Mm-hmm. It leads to no good outcome. It is a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Dr. Shepard, excuse me, I need to just jump back to the beginning.
Whoa, we're dizzy now. We're all dizzy.
Okay.
So I put for one of my discussion points is just kind of wrapping. So the way this book reads for our audience that may have not read this book yet, it's very short little snippets like chapters. They're pretty short. And so I just kind of wanted to summarize the book in 3 sentences. The first one is resistance is what keeps us from sitting down and doing our best work, which we've talked about. The second one is most of us have 2 lives, the life we had before we turned pro and the life after. I love that because that is, to me, I can resonate very well with that. And the third one is resistance hates when when we turn pro, which I could definitely agree with that as well. So that's the just kind of summing our book up there. So agree with all of those things.
Yeah, very good points.
And it was a pretty easy read for those that haven't read it yet. I would say it was a pretty easy read. If you are okay with a little foul language here and there, would be a great read. If you get offended by that, then you may want to kind of skip over those words, but it's got a good message. I feel like this book has a really good message.
Yeah.
It's not one that I would totally discredit due to language or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, it would be better if it weren't in there, but then that's a matter of opinion, I mean, it may be a sign of the times, and it depends on which level you are at your life, may be totally acceptable.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this next slide shows about like the 5 big ideas of the book. And I just kind of bold printed the ones that stuck out to me. There was 3 out of the 5 that really resonated well with me. And that one about resistance, that it can't be touched, heard, smelled, but it can be felt. And I thought that was kind of neat the way that, going through the senses, but the feeling is what we really feel from the resistance. A repelling force, it's negative. Its aim is to shove us away, distract us, prevent us from doing our work. And that's kind of what we've said in this conversation today is if we can repel that, then we can definitely get things done in a great way and be very productive and professional. So the 4th one stood out to me as well. The best and only thing that one artist can do for another is to serve as an example and an inspiration. And that kind of goes with what Dr. Jackson was saying about, that criticism. Serving as an artist and being able to serve as an example and an inspiration for others. I mean, I think that's contributing to something that's even bigger than ourselves. So I really like that. And then the last one that I kind of point out here is the power to take charge is in your hands. All you have to do is believe it. I love that. I think I want to I'm saying this about everything, but I think I would love that quote somewhere so that I can read that every day, that number 5. I just love that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think I might have something like, so when are you going to turn pro?
Yes.
You know, a little post-it note on my computer or something like that, you know. So
this book had a lot of good little nuggets along the way, you know. Really, really good book.
Yeah, and you know, here's maybe a good point. Maybe the foul language was intentional to see if it distracts you from getting the better points of the book. You know, it's annoyed with it that you put the book away or that you miss the point of what he's saying. Then and then you're not a pro.
Right. Right. That's good. I think that the style, you know, we one of the first episodes we talked about the style of scholarly writing versus informal writing.
Yes.
This is definitely more informal style, and you know, you wouldn't find cuss words in a scholarly journal or anything like that. But so, you know, just it's still a nonfiction, but it is informal.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think there's a you know, that's a great niche, so to speak. And I think there's an audience for that, you know. So
yeah.
Yeah. I love reading books from people who have been there and who, you know, have experienced this. And I really felt like that when I was reading it, that this is what he does. And, you know, I think it's like the first 3 pages, he describes his routine, his method of sitting down to get the work done. And I kind of chuckled a little bit because he has his like lucky pen and he has a lucky cannon pointing to his computer so the muse can shoot the ideas straight to his computer, and his lucky charm, you know, just all kinds of lucky charms or things. But then I got to thinking, you know, I have little things around me that inspire me, you know, and just little expressions, little somethings that inspire me as well. So that's real life right there.
Right. Yeah, and we do, you know. I mean, you might have in your office little things hanging around that you thought were really great. I've done that. I've put things up that I thought were profound, you know, quotes that I saw and I thought might inspire someone to make a comment.
Yeah.
So far, it hasn't worked, but I have put those things up.
Well, the school year's still young.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Well, are there any final thoughts, doctors, that you would like to discuss or bring forward? Or
well, I've always shied away from even that term like resistance. But after reading this book, it's something that I need to put in the forefront of my mind and be aware of, and not kind of shun away from it. I think it's something that kind of to face head on and realize it, recognize it's there, and move through it in order to be productive. But yeah, I've always kind of not been a fan of that word necessarily. But now that after reading this book, I'm thinking it's a word that I need to recognize, and it'll make me better for noticing my resistance points and my pain points in life and moving through those and working through those.
Yes.
And, you know, I think because he's specifically, of course, talking about writing, just like the Bird by Bird author. So it is, although they do have deadlines, they don't work with the same deadlines we do in our professional life on a day-by-day basis. And there's one thing I always say to when you're not working, when you're off, and when you have time, how easy it is to procrastinate and go, well, why would I do that today? I have tomorrow, the day after that, and then another day on top of that. So why would I do that today? Whereas if you knew you're going to work tomorrow and you can't get back to this project, so you're more inclined to finish something.
Right. There was a time in my life that I kind of had a hiatus from work for about 4 months. And I felt myself feeling that way, like, oh, well, I can just put it off tomorrow because I'll be off tomorrow. I mean, at least as far as I knew today, I was going to be off the next day. And then I actually thought, I'm not going to get anything done unless I feel like I'm at work and I actually make myself a schedule. And then and I actually put in times to spend with family and do lunches and things like that. But I also put in some times and blocked off some times to do like work around my house and things I wanted to really get done. But I feel like I work better from a calendar, a deadline, a list of some sort.
Yeah.
Because if not, I won't get a thing done.
Yeah, and you know, I hear that from a lot of retirees, you know, who cannot wait to retire, and then a few months into it, it's like, oh my God, this is not working for me. And you know, the thought occurs to me, is that something, you know, versus cultures where people don't go to work, you know, is that something that we created? That we can't live without anymore, being on a schedule. Because I remember the last author, MC, he talked about this woman who was, she was herding, I forget the scenario, but she was herding sheep somewhere, and she
lived by herself in the mountains.
And she was about the happiest person in the world, and she said it, this is my content. I get up early in the morning. I love milking the cows. I love tending to the sheep. She didn't really have a schedule, but she was not missing. She did not say, I can do that tomorrow. No, this was a regimen every day.
Exactly.
And no one made her have that regimen.
Right.
Yeah.
Like before we turned our cameras on today and went live, we were talking about, you know, jobs that are purposeful and have the meaning and have the work behind them, and then other jobs that are just, you know, waiting. And sometimes we feel like we may be waiting on the work to come or waiting on the tasks to come. So
maybe there are some things you can do while you're waiting, you know, that could make that whenever the tasks come be more efficient or something. I just remember when I was in the classroom and I would get out of school and we'd have summer vacation and I would have children to be responsible for during the summer. I would make a schedule. But it would be fun stuff. It would be going to the pool. You know, we'd go to the pool for 3 hours and then we come home, or we go to the library and we get some summer reading books. And, you know, then, you know, we might clean the house or plant something, or, you know, but it just helped me get things done. And that way the time doesn't just stretch on into oblivion and nothing, you know, not even fun stuff gets done.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think we've talked about a lot of things that will help us struggle against the resistance.
Yes.
And I'm kind of glad we read this book. This was a good one.
I am too.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, and you know, let's make those banners.
That's right. You might see it, right? You know, so when you're going pro, you might see that. So next time we are doing the Stoics challenge. Is that correct?
Challenge.
And who is the author? I don't know.
William Irvine, I think.
William or Irvine.
Correct. Okay. And does 2:00 sound good?
2:00 next Friday works fabulous.
All right.
Yeah.
And that would be 7 UTC time, I think. 7 p.m. For our European viewers, of course.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Shepard and Dr. Venus. And I really have enjoyed this time with you. And I look forward to the Stoic challenge
Yes.
next week.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.